Okay, everyone. So I am chilling in Los Angeles, actually, at the moment. I walked down the block and I turned the corner and I happened to stumble on something. I am in Pershing Square, which, if you recognize it, it's an iconic area in Los Angeles, but you may recognize it as a place that was also recreated for GTA 5. And this is the area specifically where, like, Michael smokes the doobie, I think it's Michael, and trips balls and thinks aliens are invading and like starts losing his mind. I walked the corner, I was like, those like kind of reddish orange buildings over there look vaguely familiar, and you can see that like that they have the whole like compound or complex, I don't know what it's called, but it looked exactly like it did in the game. And I was like, bro, I am so sheltered that where I recognize an iconic Los Angeles landmark is from its recreation in GTA 5. You know, of course, I need to get out more. But anyway, here I am. I wanted to sit down and film real quick because just a few minutes ago, there was the official Black Flag Resynched reveal. People have seen it now. It's out in the wild. I had the chance to look at some of the footage early. I also got the chance to talk with the game's creative director, Paul. And I've also previously had the opportunity to speak with Jean, who's now in charge of basically the whole franchise. And I just wanted to offer my thoughts because I found it very bizarre. I wanted to offer my impressions because at this point, I think the feeling, at least the pulse check right now, is one of positivity, actually. It's kind of crazy to see how quickly sentiment can shift on something like Assassin's Creed when you try and you listen to feedback. But I think that that's what Ubisoft really, really needed was a W. And Black Flag, as I've said for months, is such a slam dunk. Like, there is no reason they shouldn't be able to knock this out of the freaking park. It's a layup, really, it should be. And I am so glad to see that, as far as we're aware right now, they seemingly have done that. Not only is it coming in sub 70, so it's priced at 60 US, which is lower than I was expecting, honestly. They also are focused on the story elements. They brought back the original performers. They have not cut any content to make it more sensible for modern audiences, or whatever you want to call it. I was really prepared for them to reveal to us that like they cut whaling because they thought it was antiquated or inappropriate or something. But no, they actually have kept all of that in. Sea shanties are all still here, and then there's more. They've gone and hired Darby to come back, and the new content that they've added, they've actually had him write most of it, which is, if not all of it, I'm not exactly sure, but they've had him write a bunch of it, which is really exciting and encouraging. Like they're saying all of the right things. It looks graphically really, really good. And it's just nice to be excited for something related to Assassin's Creed again. It's just kind of refreshing, because I know it's bizarre after years and years of just kind of stumble and trip, and then they step on the rake, and then they step on the shovel, then they fall into a well. Like, Ubisoft has made it really hard to like Assassin's Creed and to be a quote-unquote fan of the franchise. But I grew up playing these games, man. Like, I really love them, and I have they have a special place in my heart because of that. But it's been years since I got one that I was like all on board for, you know? Every time I would try one or they would release something, it was that there was always a caveat, you know? It was like, the Mirage, yeah, it's a small spin-off game. It was a DLC that turned into a game. You know, for a small project, it's fine. It's not really a full-on project, but it'll be fine. It's whatever. With Valhalla, it's like, yeah, parts of it are good. Parts of it are super bloated. Shadows, parts are solid. A lot of it's boring and bland and stepped back from previous entries. And, you know, there was always a caveat, always an asterisk with it. But Black Flag is a game that so many people love, so many people hold near and dear to their hearts, and they just seemingly have hit it out of the park. And, you know, we still have to see. Nobody, as far as I'm aware, has put hands on it. Nobody's actually tried it and played it. So it's possible that when we try it, you know, maybe the combat feels really bad. Maybe performance is really unstable. And, there's always the opportunity for something like that to pop up. But based on what we know now, which is all we can form opinions on, it looks really solid. And they had many opportunities where they could have screwed it up every step of the way. They could have cut some of those systems. They could have cut things like whaling. They could have done something like not really remake anything, just do an HD texture pack and then call it a remake or resynced and call it good and charge you $70 for it. They could have done that stuff, which I think a lot of people were braced for, because that's what Ubisoft has done for a very, very long time. But as we've seen with many companies, like any company will do what they can do to get away with, so long as they get away with it. They'll do the bare minimum to make the profit, so long as they get away with it. But once they stop getting away with it, once you raise the bar, raise the standard, and you demand better and demand more, they are forced to step it up and to figure it out. And that's why competition's good. That's why holding companies' feet to the fire forces them to be better. And I think that that's what hopefully Resynced kind of represents, is Ubisoft figuring it out and getting back on track. That's at least what I'm hoping for. I'm cautiously optimistic with it. They've done other things more broadly and generally to go in the right direction, I think. Like, for example, hiring Jean, bringing Darby back to work on this stuff, trying very, very hard to bring in the community early on. All of that's really, really refreshing and good to see. And I think will help in the years to come. Because as of right now, Resynced is one project. Could be a fluke. It's possible that Hexa sucks ass or something. But what we're hearing in the rumblings and leaks are that Hexa is actually really coming together very well. That it's the game people are asking to be transferred onto, like people within Ubisoft. There's not a lot of games that fill people with optimism and positivity in that company. A lot of troubled development, a lot of canceled projects, but Hexa is the one game everybody wants to be a part of, because apparently it's just looking really good. We'll see, they can always screw it up, but they're feeling good about it. And so if they nail Resynced and then Hexa comes out and is also really good, or even just pretty good, but if it's good, then they're in the spot where they will then be primed to start doing the work that Jean has for like his vision of Assassin's Creed that he can work on from scratch, and potentially really start to turn things in a good direction. That would at least be my hope. I know it's crazy to think after the last few years of Ubisoft, last handful of years with Ubisoft, but there was a time where Ubisoft was one of the big players. They would regularly be putting out games that people were so excited for, and that was on the most anticipated lists, and were the biggest games of every single year, and everybody was stoked for it. And it's been the last 5 or 6 years, really in the aftermath of Valhalla, that narrative really shifted and changed. And so they have been in a spot where they've been able to do well before. They know how to make good games, or at least they did at one point, and then they lost it for one reason or another. But hopefully they are energized by the reception of Resynced, and it makes very clear to Ubisoft and to every other studio, frankly, that if you listen to your players, if you give them what they want and you stop overcomplicating it, you stop being greedy and doing things that players don't want, but that you're going to force them to like, if you just give them what they're asking for and listen to their feedback honestly and truly, you can find amazing success. And that's why I'm perhaps even more optimistic about the future for Assassin's Creed, is that seeing even the smaller gestures, like Jean Guidon asking to meet with members of the community, which he reached out a month or two ago and asked to hop on a Zoom call with myself and a lot of other creators, many very small channels as well. He just wanted to touch base. And in a very simple way, they just want to hear what the community thinks about stuff before they spend $200 million on it, before it's too late to change it. They wanted to know whether Shadows would be controversial before it's too late to change something based on feedback, and that comes from talking to people who are not going to be yes men. That's the difficult thing about a lot of this, is that positivity is great, But when you filter out criticism and critique, you don't get the feedback you really need that's really valuable, you know? And so seeing that they're reaching out even to individuals who have called like Valhalla travesties of open world design, you know, who have been very critical of them and their leadership, and seeing that they're opening the door to just listen to what those people have to say and people like me have to say, it's just really refreshing. And it gives me a tinge of optimism, and seeing that they can, they're capable of doing things that players connect with, like with Resynched, is encouraging to me, because it shows that if they just keep doing this, if they keep doing X, they will be able to find success. They just have to double down and keep doing it. And if they can do that, I think they'll find tremendous success, and they can dig themselves out of a real hole. They do still have a much deeper pit to climb out of than just Assassin's Creed, to be clear. There was reporting just the other day from Tom Henderson that the Far Cry project is going through development hell and having trouble. There's other issues they've been having, of course, with other IP and other things that they have going on. Of course, Prince of Persia being a great example. So they have a lot of stuff to figure out, and I'm sure there's going to be more project cancellations we hear about. They just canceled another game a few days ago, which was going to be Ubisoft's version of Animal Crossing. I don't know what that would have looked like. Maybe awesome, maybe terrible. I don't know. But they canceled that apparently. So they've still got an uphill battle and an uphill climb. But I think this at least will put, forgive the pun, some wind in their sails, which is what every team, every developer kind of needs at the end of the day to kick them forward and keep them moving. Because even though we all agree Ubisoft leadership is, and has been for a long time, pretty terrible, there's still tremendously talented devs that work within Ubisoft and that pour their hearts and minds and skill and expertise into their projects. And those projects just tend to get weighed down by bad management, which is what really stings about it. And I mean, I've spoken to people who work at Ubisoft, and the morale has been a real problem for them. But I think this will be the first instance of that morale really turning around. I would guess there's some champagne bottles being popped right now based on the feedback people are seeing. Because everywhere I look on my feeds across all of social media, the narrative is, is this Ubisoft? Like, did they actually kind of cook with this one? Of course, we still need to see how it plays. We still need to, you know, they got to get across the finish line, but people are kind of baffled that it looks as good as it does, which is a great problem to have. So wanted to offer my kind of off the cuff reaction to the full reveal. Of course, on the main channel, big channel, I've got my more edited reaction and discussion of all of this. So if you're interested in that, go check it out, because I did put that up this morning right as the embargo lifted. So you can check that out there. I'll tell you guys all about what I'm doing here in Los Angeles when I can. I think a bug just flew in my mouth. Yeah, it's too late now. Protein. So I'll tell you why I'm here soon enough. But until then, my friends, I will be back home by tomorrow morning. So I plan to stream and everything. I will see you guys then. We'll talk about stuff, and it will be a good time. But with that, I'm going to leave it there. There's a homeless man over there. He's circling back. I didn't want to start the video with this because it was kind of gross, but I think he's homeless. Maybe he's not. Maybe he lives in a mansion. But a guy came over to me when I first got to Pershing Square, and he was like digging through his backpack and moving his pants around. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I just walked past him and I sat down, grabbing my camera out of my bag. And then he came over to me and asked me very politely, sir, do you have any toilet paper? And I realized why he had been digging around in his pants. And I said, no, I don't carry toilet paper with me. He's like, okay, thank you. And waddled away. I felt bad. They don't have public bathrooms here. So I don't know what he did, but he went over to those flowers in the distance over there where there's big leaves. And then he emerged and walked off to the right. So maybe he got some natural help. Feel bad for the guy. We've all been in, I mean, I don't think I've ever been in an emergency like that, but I hope he found some relief. Some remedy. Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, the place of dreams, La La Land. Isn't it magical? It reminds me, I'll leave with this. It reminds me of when we were here in Los Angeles like 2 years ago for Summer Games Fest, and Jor Raptor came to LA. I think it was his first time ever in Los Angeles. He got from the airport, drove to the hotel, and we said, hey, let's go to dinner. Let's go to a steakhouse. Do you want to just take an Uber there? He's like, no, I'm in the city. I'm going to walk. I'll meet you at your Airbnb, which was like 2-3 blocks away from his hotel. And so he's like, I'll just walk the 2 blocks to your Airbnb, and then we can all walk together to the steakhouse, like, you know, a half mile away. And dude, when he showed up at our Airbnb out front, he looked like he had just, you know, the opening of Saving Private Ryan, or like the opening of Dunkirk or something. It looked like he had just experienced something truly traumatic. It's like pale in the face, like sunken eyes, looked like he had seen a ghost. Like, are you good, dude? He's like, yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. I feel like I'm in the post-apocalypse. They're like, yep, that's how it is. You know, I don't consider it a true Los Angeles experience unless you see a guy walking down the street peeing while he walks because he just has his business out of his zipper. That's like part of the LA experience. I know I have a lot of international viewers on this channel, and you're probably hearing me describe this. You're like, there's no way any of that's real. Sure about that? It's LA, baby. That's LA. You get that, and then you have like beautiful buildings like that, and it's gorgeous and it's wonderful, but you don't get a little bit of the LA experience. You got to get it all. And sometimes it's sticky and lacking in toilet paper, but that's part of the biz, baby. That's part of the biz.